3, 2, 1, let's go. So this video is about optimizing B2B offers or the B2B offers of your company for cold traffic specifically. Now, you probably know that for the majority of companies on the planet, the majority of your market, usually over 90%, do not know of your existence. And only a small percentage of people know about you and want to talk to you, right? Now, if you do not optimize your offers and your strategy specifically for cold traffic, and you treat cold traffic like you do warm traffic, then you do not have a business. If you cannot scale your product, your service, your offering to cold traffic specifically, and you do not optimize for that, you're not going to be able to scale. Now, who am I? I am Aleksandar, Velev, founder and chief revenue officer of GTM Revenue. We've generated right about 60 million in sales pipeline. This is our website here. Some cool content on there. And we've done this 60 million in sales pipeline specifically from cold traffic. And we also help some of our clients close those deals a little bit easier. So after they generate that interest, and it's from cold traffic leads, cold leads, how do they close those people? So we've helped clients close over 10 million in revenue, not in sales pipeline, in actual revenue that went into the companies. Now, the biggest difference is that cold traffic does not trust you. They think about you as a very risky investment. Even if you have the case studies, even if you get results for almost all of your clients, if you're selling anything B2B, especially if it's higher ticket, then it's going to be a tough sell for you to do all this. Now, the close rate is lower for cold traffic, the sales cycle longer, the prices that they're willing to pay is also lower. They might have more objections or different types of objections. The decision-making process is different, and they need more information usually and some insurance that this might actually work out. Now, how do you combat all of this and actually close cold traffic and convert them almost as if you're handling a warm referral? This is what the video is about. Now, a lot of people, actually I have some drawings here. Let's get rid of the drawings. What I was basically explaining in these drawings here is that we have the typical funnel, okay? We have the typical sales funnel, cold leads on top. So all of the possible cold leads get on top. And only a small percentage of them at each stage, you can see there's different stages, only a small percentage of them actually get converted. Now, how do you basically ensure that at each and every step, you can increase that conversion rate so less of the leads actually get thrown away, right? By you not following the right processes? Some of our clients get over 150% more conversions when you look at an interested lead to a closed deal. So these are very typical numbers, by the way, but I'm still not guaranteeing anything. I'm not trying to sell you anything as well. So this is just an educational video. Now, a lot of the people that are in this B2B sales, B2B marketing place have heard about this guy, Alex Hormozi, and his formula. The problem here is that this formula does not work the way people think it does. And if you try to implement this formula, you're basically setting up yourself for losing out, for not closing people. Why? Because most people think about this formula as the end-all, be-all, this is how I'm going to close people. But now let me tell you that there is a better way to actually implement the formula in a way that actually works. If you go to somebody and you say, hey, I'm going to get you X number of clients, X results, or you get an amazing refund, you get 150% refund, we're going to deliver you amazing results in 3 days, we have a ton of case studies, give me money, right? If that might be a really good offer, you have a refund, you deliver results quickly, you have a ton of case studies, the perceived likelihood of achievement is really high, but that doesn't convert because of what I'm about to tell you. So when you're really trying to convert cold traffic, you're mostly going to be doing some sort of advertising, some sort of outreach. Or if you're more focused on the marketing side of things, then you're going to be doing lots of content and trying to get inbound leads, and that will that would be considered as an inbound lead, right? So that's more of a warm traffic. However, as I said, if you do not optimize your business for building a predictable pipeline generation system, whether it's through outreach or some sort of advertising, even if it's going to events, that's still like you going out there proactively seeking clients. If you do not have something like that, you're just not going to make it, right? Now, what if you could implement this formula from Alex Hormozi, not just to close people, but what if you could implement it at each and every stage of the conversion process so that you can get the most amount of people to just, instead of the sales funnel looking like this, you're always going to have the same number of people in your market, right? What if instead of it being very narrow, let's say it's very narrow, what if you could have it less narrow, right? So more and more conversion rate at each stage. So this is what we're going to be talking about in this video. There's offers that still follow the same structure at each and every stage. So initially you have the offer to get that initial interest. And your offer should also follow this same framework. Basically, especially in the beginning, there is not a big time delay. There is not really an effort and sacrifice for the majority of call to actions that you're going to be putting out there. Like you're not going to tell somebody, hey, maybe we can work together. I can give you a lead magnet, for example. Some people think that's a great offer. Do you want to go on a camping trip with me so I can give you the lead magnet, which is like a 4-day investment, for example? Nobody's going to go on a camping trip. But that's why I'm saying that the time delay, the effort and sacrifice is just you sending over a link, for example. So this is not really that important in the beginning of the funnel, but it becomes a lot more important as we go down the funnel towards closing the deal, renewing the deal, negotiating. So mostly you're just trying to find the right people that wants the dream outcome that you can achieve in the biggest dream outcome you can achieve in the most predictable way. Like, who can you get that for? These are the people that you need to target. Who can you get the most results? These are the people you need to target. And then you can talk about the dream outcome, and the higher you can get this perceived likelihood of achievement, the more people are going to show that initial interest, right? So the more value you can provide, the more value people see, the higher likelihood that they actually want to speak to you. So there's an initial offer in your outreach, in your advertising that you can do. Then you need to give them another offer. So they want to book a sales call with you, or a discovery call, or a strategy call, whatever you call it. You need to give them another offer so they show up, right? It's not just awareness, interest, evaluation. There is dozens and dozens of small steps. And at each one, you should be giving people a offer. Basically, you showing your value without asking anything in return, right? Giving value without asking anything in return. And this doesn't need to be a huge manual process as well. So then you need an offer for them to see the value in your product. So this could be in the discovery call, in the first call. Then you need an offer for them to book the second call. We could have 10 or 20 more here. And then you have the final one, which is to close the deal, which is your proposal or your sales presentation. Now, let's go on. An important concept before I actually share exactly how to do this is that there is demand generation versus demand capture offers. So a demand generation offer, and by the way, when I say offers, it's not just to close the deal. It's each of these micro offers here. That's what I'm talking about as well. But also the general company offer. Like, is it lead generation? Is it coaching, cybersecurity, custom software development? These offers as well, right? So something that's demand generation, you can get pretty much anybody that's qualified, I guess, based on your criteria, and you can generate interest in them if you talk to them the right way. If it's something that's truly relevant and it's something that they need, you can generate interest. So if it's something to do with directly generating revenue or optimizing some revenue processes so people can make more money, then that's a demand generation offer. You can go to anybody, and if you position it right, a lot of people are going to want. Or if you save costs directly. Now, a demand capture offer cannot really be sold to people to generate interest in them. You need to capture the people that already have interest in what you're selling. Now, there's some strategies, and I'll probably do a video on this. For example, if you're selling a coaching service, you cannot go out to people and outreach to them via cold email and say, hey, do you want me to coach you? That is not going to work. But if you go out to people and you say, hey, I can get you 15% additional revenue from your Facebook advertising via this and this software strategy, then that's a lot more likely to be believed, to be wanted, and to be desired, right? So, and some additional ones, we have cybersecurity, custom software development. Who wants custom software development? Somebody that already has the need for it. So you just need to do a ton of volume and find the right people that already need it, or you need to rank for certain keywords on Google. So when people search custom software development, you rank on top. So this is what works. Right. However, you can turn some of these offers into demand generation offers. For example, if somebody does coaching and they want to do cold outbound, they can do cold outbound with a demand generation offer, which is then giving a free guide to people or a free community that they're building, where they teach people how to save money, generate more leads, and increase their revenue. And as a social proof, they can say that the community already has 200 members and that they're a coach because they have done this for the last 10 years and they've gotten hundreds of other companies this and this type of results. So it's a longer term play, but you're using the right channels the right way. Okay, very important for you to understand. Now, here's how I optimized my offer structure at each stage of the micro offers at my company, GKM Revenue, and we actually increased, this is in the last year and a half or 2 years, I think, we increased our conversion rates from initial interest to close deal by over 125%. So first we start with outreach to generate that initial interest. We immediately explain the value our services bring. And this is not in a very templatized, personalized way. We focus on relevance. So a lot of people say that they're experts in whatever that they do. When you're doing outreach, when you're doing anything like that, proactively going to people, you do not want to say you're an expert. You want to show that you're an expert. So this is very important in copywriting or in just trying to get the attention of cold leads. You need to show and not tell. So the way we actually show it is when we reach out to people, we share 3 fully custom use cases of exactly how we can implement our solutions into their company. So this is actually AI generated. It's a whole AI workflow with multiple different prompts, the research steps, verifications. So this took me personally about 50 hours to build and maybe even more than that, to be honest, because I've done a lot of troubleshooting, just testing it, iterating on it and trying to make the best prompt possible. We get some amazing feedback from this. So if you have a software company or if you have a service that can be used in many different ways or that can deliver many different types of results, then you can do something like this. You sell a coaching offer, as I said above, then you can do another different strategy. So this is not about copy pasting exactly what I'm talking about in the video. It's more about being creative and giving people something that would optimize for more of that cold traffic to express that initial interest. After they express that initial interest, we convert it into then wanting to book a meeting, right? And then show up to a meeting, attend that meeting, see the value on that meeting, book a second meeting, etc. So another one that we do is a lead magnet. It's actually on the website, I think, here. So basically, if you book a call, you can get 500 ICP leads and an outreach strategy or some outreach SOPs that we have. So people book a lot of calls for this. So our outreach first message is these 3 custom ideas. Then we basically have an extremely short email where we just the only offer inside of it is the lead magnet. And a lot of people say, yeah, okay, just tell me more about it. I'm already trying to do some outreach things. some lead generation. So, give me stuff basically. Now, I cannot remember the last time I gave this lead magnet because people book calls because of it, but I do not really talk to the people that are only interested in getting the lead magnet. And I just don't end up talking to them, to be honest. I just say, hey, it's not a fit. You don't need the lead magnet. No. But the ones that are interested, the majority of the time, they do not even want it. So they initially say, hey, yes, I can have it. But then I talk to them, hey, if I get you the list, what's your strategy going to be? How are you going to do it? And then we actually go into a proper discussion of our services and exactly how we can help them. And in majority of cases, I talk to serious business owners or VPs of sales, and they do not really see the benefit of 500 leads compared to a full-on service like what we sell. That's why in the majority of cases, they just say, okay, let's just work together instead of getting some small list, and then we have to waste a bunch of time. It's not a good offer. So then it's a good offer to get their attention, but it's not a good offer when you're comparing the value of the lead magnet versus the value of our services. So they no longer want the lead magnet, right? So then we have the next step is to book a call. We explain exactly what we're going to be discussing. I just get so much outreach and people want to book calls with me, and I do not see the value. I don't see the value. Like, what are we going to talk about? Who are you? Why do you want to book a call with me? If I do not know that, I am not going to be willing to talk to you. Okay. So what we do is we say exactly what we're going to be discussing. We explain in very simple words exactly what's the value for the company that we want to talk to. And we also hinted some secret sauce, that we're going to review some secret sauce. So this really depends on your industry. But if you have had a ton of calls, or if you have been in your industry for a while, you know that people usually have one main objection or one thing that's really interesting for them. So you can basically tell them that you're going to talk about that thing. And if you have a unique take on it, you can even use the secret sauce brackets. And you can say, when we meet next Tuesday, I'm actually going to be sharing the secret sauce in brackets behind X process. You can say something like this. It's more interesting. And then always in the PS line, we share some case studies, right? So we do not just put them in the email. Okay, look at our case studies. We put it in the PS line. We focus the email on exactly what we're going to be discussing. And we select the right case studies depending on the company that we're reaching out to. So if we have a case study that's with the company exactly like them, we're going to say that in the email, and maybe we will even prioritize that as the reason to book the call, right? So again, looking at the formula, how can we get them the most amount of value? That's what people care about. They're not going to book a call with you if they do not see the value. Then they need to show up. So for them to show up, instead of sending the typical reminders, hey, make sure you show up, what we do, and that works amazingly well, this is also the next step, by the way, is that, well, first of all, we say that we prepared a custom presentation for them, which takes about 2 or 3 minutes just to put their logo, put their company name, put a couple of bullet points of things that we researched. You can even do this with AI. We do it with AI. We share some case studies in the email, so the LinkedIn messages or text messages before the call actually happens. And we very, very heavily promote our VSL. So I think every B2B company should have a VSL. If you do not have a proper VSL, you are just missing out on an extreme amount of revenue based on what I've seen. And I'm serious about this. Okay. So step number 5, VSL and content pushing. We get a cold lead, right? But we know that there's nothing better than that hot lead that just comes from a referral and is so easy to close. There's nothing better than that, right? So we want to create that. We cannot artificially get more referrals because we're limited by the number of clients that we have and by the number of connections they have, for example. But we can artificially get more cold leads, get their initial interest with an amazing offer, then make extremely relevant content specifically designed for their stage of a cold lead turning a little bit warmer. And we just give them all of the content that is just specifically meant for them. It's like their dream. Boom. here is some content that talks about solving the exact issues that you currently have. So this comes with a lot of experience, market knowledge. You can create some amazing content and you want to push it. The more you push it, the easier you're going to be closing deals. The shorter the sales cycle is, the more bought in your prospects are going to be into the solution, the more educated they're going to be before the call. In GTM revenue, we get a very high watch rate of our VSL. We have two different VSLs. And the one that people actually prefer more is the VSL that is 66 minutes. It's an hour and 6 minutes. And I can not even begin to describe the number of people that have watched that VSL. Like, we book a call and we say, hey, here's a resource that answers this question, and this question that I know you probably have. And then when people tell me, hey, I actually watched your entire 1 hour video, I've closed almost every single one. But it was a cold lead. Now it turned into a hot lead. Do you understand the power of proper content? And this is not like the typical YouTube content that you see like this. It's a little bit more specialized for the specific stage of those leads and the specific objections that they have. You want to pre-handle a lot of the objections. There is a whole art to making really good VSLs. So that's the main point. Then we do a deep discovery call, okay? We don't want to get all the surface level knowledge. We want to go deep. And we want to gather as many bullets as possible, right? Gather as much ammunition as possible during that first discovery call. If you have 2 discovery calls, it depends on your exact sales cycle. And on that initial call, that's our main goal. And then I even sometimes book on my phone 3 minutes or 5 minutes before the call ends to just stop everything. And there is not a single higher leverage thing you can do compared to just leaving some time to handle some objections and make sure that they are committed to joining the second call. So you need to give them a reason, right? You need to give the people a reason of why they should book a second call with you. And you need to actually book it on the call. The show-up rate is going to be way higher. The booking rate is also going to be way higher. And you can deal with some objections as well, okay? And then the way you make a great offer here is that you can immediately think, okay, what are the main things that they want to see? They want to see how we integrate with different APIs. They want to get the expected results and cost breakdown. They want to see exactly our process around X and Y thing. And I get all of this information during the discovery, and then I explain to the prospect, hey, we can go over this, and this on our next call. Actually, when we work with companies like yours, we make a fully custom presentation. So I'm going to take like an hour of my day. I'm going to make a full custom presentation for you, going over the exact processes of how we're going to get you X results. The presentation is going to include things like topic number 1, topic number 2, topic number 3 that they care about. And then you ask them, hey, are you free on, like, you literally share your screen, you open up your calendar and you show them your availabilities, and you make sure that you book that call, that second call on the first call. Because one of the biggest issues in sales in B2B is that drop off between the first and the second call. If you have shared a lot of content, if you have shared the case studies, if you do not do the typical, hope this email finds you well, did you see my email, and stuff. If you actually provide value, right? If you provide value, then people will show up and you're going to be closing a lot more people. So before the second call, we do not send typical reminders, okay? We send reminders that show that we're actually building that custom presentation. Even if it doesn't take an hour, you can say it takes an hour, it doesn't matter. Or you can say, you don't need to mention how long it takes as well. Right? It's up to you how you format this. We show that we are actually thinking about it, and we're reminding them of our conversation. So if they asked about the API documentation, instead of sending an email that's just a template and nobody even reads or cares about or remembers, we say, hey, John, here is a quick little 2-minute video about the API documentation. right? And you can have a lot of these pre-recorded videos on certain objections or questions that come up all the time.
Right. Or you can remind them of the exact things that you're going to include in that presentation.
And this makes them 10 times more likely to attend. Okay. So these two things, if you book the second call on the first call, and if you do all of these custom follow-ups that they do take some time, there are some software solutions out there that help you with this. I'm building a solution that handles some of this, a lot of other things.
But this is very important. Okay. And then we have the sales presentation and the closing. So
you use all of your ammunition, you use all of the things that they told you, and you position your product, you position your service as the exact solution to exactly what they need. Now, you don't, obviously, like I don't need to be saying this, but you shouldn't lie here. I mean, you shouldn't position your service as the solution to a problem that you cannot solve.
But then you shouldn't have a second call with somebody that you cannot
help. So you should only be having calls with the exact type of target market that you can deliver the best results for. So I'm assuming that this is the case. Now, if they say that they have issue number 1, issue number 2, the worst thing you can say is that, let's say you're selling lead generation and specifically you want to sell an in-house system. So instead of an ongoing service, you sell a one-time setup, outbound infrastructure, plus some coaching for the team, let's say. We've sold quite a few of these at my company. So instead of saying, hey, we're going to set up the infrastructure and send 5,000 emails a month and 800 LinkedIn messages for $10,000, plus we're going to coach your team, blah, 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 blah. This is not that valuable, right? The reason it's not that valuable is not because you're not saying how much money you're going to make. It is not because you're not telling them what is the conversion rate of 5,000 emails. This would still be really bad, or not as bad, I guess, if you, instead of 5,000 emails, you said, hey, we're going to get you at least 50 meetings a month from email and 30 meetings from LinkedIn for $10,000. That's bad. Okay. But if you truly understood them and you understood their specific situation, you can even get away with making no specific number claims. Okay. So if you know that you spoke to John and John has 3 AEs, account executives, or 3 closers that get paid a base salary and also a performance, but they have a high base salary, let's say. However, John and his sales team, they do not get those closers enough meetings. So 30% of that salary goes to waste. So that can be $50,000 a year that just goes to waste because they do not get enough meetings. Now, they also work the internal systems to generate those meetings. Okay, they have no systems internal. They've never had anything that has been able to get them predictable results.
They get some meetings here, some meetings there. They go to an event, sometimes they get more meetings, but they do not have
something predictable. Right? Sometimes they get a boom, so the A's work really hard, and other times they do not. So a lot of the salary gets wasted. Just as an example of what a person might tell you. Now, I'm not going to read through all of this, but if you list out exactly how they're thinking about each thing, and then you position yourself strategically according to their goals, according to their previous issues that you diagnosed, according to their wants, right? You can even find a better solution for them than you were originally going to sell them here. So why are you going to be sending 5,000 emails? There is a disconnect here. That's why I wanted to tell you that this is a bad offer, not because it doesn't talk about the revenue it generates, but because you do not position yourself as an expert. So the dream outcome is not as clear. Okay? So the dream outcome is not to book meetings. The dream outcome is that John is stressed that he has AEs and they're just sitting on their hands. They're not doing anything. He's also worried that if he hires more salespeople, they're not going to be able to get results. That's why he needs a system. So this is the dream outcome. The dream outcome is not just financial. It is how his company looks when you implement his solution. How do the processes work? What's the feeling around it?
what changes specifically. So they're going to get 50 meetings. How are they going to get it? And if they do get 50 meetings, so what? So what if they get 50 meetings? What actually changes? So go a couple steps further than that and actually ask, so what? And then that's a way more powerful dream outcome. So the value goes up, okay? Now also the perceived likelihood of achievement goes up because you seem like you truly understand them. If you truly understand John and his exact situation that he's in, and you can describe it, and then you also know all of the things that he's worried about, and you address them as well, then the perceived likelihood of achievement also goes up, okay? So the offer is not just a static sentence, okay? Or the value that you bring is not delivered through just a static sentence. It is entirely dependent on your content. So you need to share a lot of content before the call. Then you need to do a good discovery, so you know the actual issues. And then you need to make a really good sales presentation, ask more questions, do a little bit more of a discovery on second, on third, on fifth call. It really depends. And communicate that to them. So when you communicate, you need to position yourself right. Do not just pitch the same thing to everybody, because that's not the dream outcome. The dream outcome is not even to make money in many cases, okay? It's not to make $10,000 a month addition, or $50,000 or $200,000. That's not it, okay? Because there's a lot of headaches, there's a lot of worries people have. If you understand them, the value goes up. And you can also, on the bottom part here, the time delay, I guess, is kind of static because you deliver your services the way you deliver your services. You cannot really change that. But the effort and sacrifice can also go lower, because if you understand the exact things that they're worried about and that they're assuming that they need to do, like if they worked with the previous agency, let's say, and the previous agency had them do X and Y thing that they really disliked, or it took them 5 weeks to get onboarded, they might assume that you're going to do the same. So you need to pre-handle this objection, and you need to also ensure that if they are worried about it, that comes very evident, very clear, and you can basically decrease this as well. So the value goes up. It's not a static thing. It's not an offer. I guess if this is the offer formula, I think this is not even a full offer. Exactly. I think there's another name that's more appropriate for this. It is not something that is static. It is not something that you can create in your company that is the same for every time that you sell. You need to make this as a custom one-time thing for each company that you work with. Now it's going to be very heavily templatized. The more companies that you speak to, this is going to be 99% the same as your templates. Let's say you have 10 different templates, 99% of companies are probably going to go into one of those 10 templates. So if you do not have those templates, if you do not have this understanding, you need to develop it. And then you need to have those templates so that your salespeople are not spending 2 hours on creating something like this. And they're also not guessing what the possible issues might be. Like, you should know all of this stuff. I can sit down and I can write down 200 different objections that my specific target market might have or usually has. And then I can make specific content on that. I can anticipate those things. I know how they signal those objections, even if it's indirect. So this is it. Right. This has been the video. In the next video, what I'm actually going to be talking about is that sometimes all of this still doesn't work. So even if you make them an amazing offer, you explain everything to them perfectly, they say that everything makes sense, they seem very bought in, but they still do not convert. So the next video is about how to structure your offer a little bit different, how the financial stats actually look when you're able to convert more people for less money and then be able to cross-sell them and upsell them. It also depends on exactly what you do, and why that might actually be the better way to go about it. Because a lot of people just try to do too much of a salesy approach where they get the cold leads, they do not have the content, they just call them a bunch of times, they message them a bunch of times, and they try to convert them. So I think there's actually a better way to do this.
Combining content, combining just converting more people in general with lower ticket offers.
So that's the next video. I hope you enjoyed and see you soon.